All right, let's get right into it. We're going to talk about something called the architecture of suspicion, which is really just a fancy way of asking, why is it so hard to take a compliment? You know that feeling, right? Someone says something nice, and your first instinct isn't to feel good, it's to feel suspicious.
And that really is the central question here. Why does a simple, positive comment, something that's supposed to make you feel good, so often land like it's some kind of trap? It's a way more common feeling than you might think. And the reasons behind it? Well, they go deep.
I mean, this is the classic disconnect, isn't it? On the surface, what you're hearing is, hey, you did a fantastic job. Simple. But what you feel on the inside is this immediate question, okay, so what do they want from me? There's this huge gap between the words being said and the internal alarm bells going off.
So let's start to really deconstruct this. When you hear praise, is your brain registering a compliment or a threat? Because for a lot of us, it has a really hard time telling the difference. And that knee-jerk reaction is exactly what we need to unpack.
And we've got to be clear about something. This isn't just you being humble or modest. No. This is something else. It's a deeply ingrained pattern of mistrust, one that automatically puts a question mark next to the sincerity of any positive interaction. It's like your defense system is stuck on high alert.
So you have to wonder, where does a pattern like this even come from? Well, to get to the bottom of it, we have to introduce a pretty big concept: toxic stress. Turns out this is the surprising childhood root where so much of this adult suspicion actually gets its start.
So what exactly is it? Well, the formal definition is severe, prolonged, or repetitive adversity that a child experiences. But here's the absolute most critical part of that sentence: without adequate adult support to help buffer the effects. That last part is the key.
And you got to understand the difference here. Normal stress, like studying for a test or learning a new skill, that's a challenge, and it can actually build resilience. But toxic stress, that's an entirely different beast. It's an overwhelming force that doesn't build you up. It actually overloads and changes the brain's developing systems for how to cope with anything.
And this brings us right back to our big idea, the architecture of suspicion. It's all about how our brains, in an effort to protect us, start building walls. And listen, this isn't a design flaw, it's a feature. It's a brilliant adaptation designed to keep a kid safe in an environment that felt really unsafe.
So how does a brain drop these blueprints for mistrust? Well, it happens in stages. First, a foundation gets laid, a foundation of unpredictability. Then, on top of that, walls of hypervigilance start to go up, constantly scanning for danger. Pretty soon, the system starts filtering everything, even good things like compliments, as potential threats. And then, before you know it, suspicion isn't just a reaction anymore. It's the default security system for your whole life.
Now, the really crucial thing to get is that this isn't just a temporary phase. This early life stress, this adaptation, it actually starts to rewire the brain for mistrust. And that has a huge long-term impact that we carry with us, often without even realizing it, right into adulthood.
You can almost see it on a timeline. In childhood, the brain learns that detecting threats is more important for survival than connection. Then, during adolescence, those same patterns of mistrust often get reinforced by social experiences. So by the time we reach adulthood, that suspicion reflex isn't something we choose, it's automatic, it's subconscious.
So what does this actually look like in day-to-day life? Well, the manifestations are probably things a lot of us will recognize. Of course, there's deflecting compliments. But it's also questioning why someone is being kind to you. It's that deep difficulty feeling truly safe and secure in relationships. And it's that constant nagging feeling in the back of your head that you're just waiting for the other shoe to drop.
Okay, so this brings us to the final and honestly the most important part of this whole thing. It's about understanding your own personal blueprint. Because the goal here is to shift away from beating ourselves up about this and move toward genuine self-awareness.
And if there's one thing you take away from this, please let it be this. This architecture of suspicion that you might be living with, it is not a flaw, it's not a weakness. It is the ghost of a very clever, very powerful survival strategy that a younger version of you built to stay safe. It worked. It did its job.
And that leads us to one last big question. If suspicion is an architecture, one that was built in the past for a very good reason, can you, today, become your own architect? Can you start to look around, do some renovations, and decide for yourself which of those walls still serve a purpose, and which ones, just maybe, it's time to take down?